Hey, welcome to another episode of YQG in Bloom. My name is Tracy Martins, and I am here today with Spectrum Spanish Tutoring. I have Kerri and Oricia, and they are going to tell us about their business. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah. So, Kerri, you being the owner, what made you start a Spanish tutoring?
Well, I like studying languages, so it just started off as a hobby to learn Spanish. And then I realized I had to teach myself because there was nowhere to go anyways. And I just saw it on just a good business opportunity, especially with all the companies that expand into Mexico, other places, Latin America. You know, Windsor is huge, tooling. Mm-hmm. Chrysler's, the greenhouses, all these places, have other centers in Latin America. So I just saw it as a good opportunity.
And when did you start, Oricia?
Well, I reached out to Kerri in 2021, I think it was, and around September.
Yeah.
We were just coming out of all the pandemic stuff, and I was trying to look for something to do that wouldn't take up much of my time because I have other things going on. And I just sent an email. I didn't know we had a contact in common. I knew her sister. And I just said, well, if you need any help, if you ever need any extra teachers, just let me know. And right away, she reached out, and I was surprised of the amount of people in Windsor that were interested in learning Spanish. I was actually pleasantly surprised.
When I met Kerri at her sister's wedding and I found out that she did this, I was shocked that there was such a need in our area, which is great because you have your Latin school, your Arabic school. So it's great to have other languages as well, French and now Spanish. Yeah. So it's awesome. What age groups do you guys teach? Like where do you start?
This is a hot topic right now. I'm still I'm still trying to figure this out. And I just had an email today from someone looking for their kids. I kind of helped organize this kids groups, and I'm more starting to direct younger kids into this kind of a play group called Windsor Amiguitos on Facebook. And because I find that with children, they learn at the pace that they grow. Mm-hmm. So it was hard to find parents that would pay for the length of their childhood to do lessons. I mean, you're as best as you are, you're capped at your age. So a 4-year-old only speaks Spanish as well as a 4-year-old speaks anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they're not going to be fluent like an adult would be until they're an adult. So it was too much of an investment, I found, for what people didn't realize the investment that it was. So I'm really happy starting with 10, 11, 9 maybe. Now, they do really well.
If you did have that younger age group that you're talking about, almost like a little play group, do they learn better in games?
Yes and no. The problem is when you only have an hour a week, games are great for attention for younger kids. But once you can read and write and you're used to the school setup, and it's only an hour. So a game is great maybe to get them comfortable with you and kind of get the ball rolling a little bit. But to spend the whole hour doing a game, you can use better. There's better use of your time for 9, 10 and up. I find, yeah. But you might have different experience.
I was going to say, I play games with my adult students.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. They like her more. This is why.
She's a fun teacher.
I'm the cool end.
Yes.
Yeah. I can teach any age, but along with what Kerri said, it would be like, sort of like when your kids are in a full French school. So if they know how to count in English up until 10, they will learn how to count in French up until 10, and Spanish will be the same. So it's not like we can go faster than what their brain development would allow them to learn. With adults and teenagers, of course, is different because you can actually go the extra mile with them and explore a little more. I do play games with them a lot. Like the way I teach, by the time they come to me, they're able to carry on a conversation. I try to teach in a fun way and try to pick up on the cues of what the students like, because it's personalized, right? Yeah. So we get to know them fairly quickly to explore subjects that we know are going to be of interest for them.
So is it individually?
Yeah, so, well, there are classes, but the problem with a class is that you have a lot of personality types, you have a lot of different types of learning. So we tend to just focus more on the one-on-one stuff. So you might have a couple, that's quite common, a married couple or someone dating, or, they'll come in and they back together or what have you. But majoritively, it's one-on-one, I find, is the best.
Or siblings.
Or siblings.
Yeah.
Or siblings. Yes.
We
Now,
like our siblings.
Yes.
Do they come here, or is it online, or both?
There is an online option, and that's where Oricia champions. I focus so far, up to this point anyways, on the in-person classes. But Oricia had a good point that we talked about before, is that with the younger kids, it tends to be the parents want them to take another language. That was a really good point you made. Whereas when you get into 11 and 12, it's the kids that want to learn it.
Yeah.
So that makes a big difference on how you can approach it as well.
Now, is it usually because they have a friend that is Spanish speaking, or
I find a lot of them, they just want to get ahead. They're curious.
Yeah, they're curious, and when I was deciding if I wanted my son to attend a full French school, I asked several people, and I remember this most beautiful teenager tell me that she and her friends that are in a full French school, they feel like they're cool. Like it's cooler to know another language. So that could be a factor.
I never even thought of it that way,
Yeah.
but it does help having the extra languages. Now, do you guys tailor each class for specific needs for each person?
Yes.
or-
This is Oricia.
Absolutely. I have the business owner, okay, that wants to talk about finances and wants to talk about what's going in the world of business and all of that from a Spanish perspective. So yes, I have to do my research and see, okay, what would be appealing for this person to be able to discuss about in Spanish and expand his vocabulary when it's business related. And at the same time, I have another student that it's all about traveling to countries in Latin America. So that's what we focus on. And all the vocabulary is around traveling and around, I don't know, airports, food, depending on the countries that he's going to go. It's like, it's endless.
Okay, so they can call you up and say, hey, I'm going here or there, and can you guys help me so I can navigate while I'm gone?
Yeah, so we separate them into the two. So we have the private classes, and up to this point, I more or less start with the students. And so Oricia can kind of make that extension into focusing on traveling, focusing on work, because the students have their basics, right? They have the fundamentals. If you're a brand new student and you don't know Hola, then I can't just focus solely on one. You have to understand the base of the language. You have to be able to function within the language, and then you can offshoot, which Oricia is great at, finding what they love, and they suffer with me, they're fun with her. But that's another reason. It's like I got to cover the ground, right?
The important stuff, the fundamentals,
you
with
need
the hard work. And then I swoop in and take advantage of all the work that she has laid down, all the foundation.
You still get the hard stuff too.
Yeah, but I mean, I never even thought of that. Like when we were talking before, and you said that people were looking at it for travel, but you really do need the fundamentals, the basics, in order to be able to go into that area. Now, how long just to learn, say, basics? Is that like a couple classes, or like your fundamentals?
No. 6 months?
Yeah.
Well, it depends what you consider fundamentals. If you were to Google it, we could probably do it. It probably will say 4 to 10 years to learn a second language.
Oh, for sure.
Fluently.
Oh, fluently. Yeah.
Conversationally. Yeah. Like a strong conversational fluency. But again, what's fluency? Yeah. It's such an open-ended word. Most students sit around the 2-year mark, I would say.
Yes.
Well, that's not bad.
So like go, they can date someone, they can open a business, and they can, travel, they can just live their life in that language. Now it's a lifelong process. I mean, I'm still learning English. You're still learning English. You know.
And it depends on what you put into it too, right? It depends on the commitment that, like, what do you want to do about it? Are you going to do your homework? Are you going to practice? Are you really going to listen to Spanish podcasts or maybe Spanish songs? It doesn't have to be a process that is rigorous or it's not fun. It can be a very fun process. It doesn't have to be boring or daunting. The other thing is that I think this is a good segue to talk about our the new course that we wanted to promote.
Yeah. I thought about this, and I'm not exaggerating when I say 7 or 8 years that I've had this on my back of my mind, like fighting it, because you do get the odd phone call where people say, hey, I'm traveling to Cuba and I just want to, get a rough go. And I say, well, what do you want to be able to do? Just ask, how are you? Or do you want to sit and talk to someone and find out about their family? Well, yeah, I want to talk to them. Well, when what you're looking for is not what you're saying. What you're looking for is you want to speak Spanish.
Yes.
And so 99% of the time, they just sign up and they do the full thing, and they seem to have appreciated that at the end of it. So I fought for a long time, I don't want to water Spanish down to, travel with it. Like, you never heard that, travel English. You don't hear that. What's travel English? You're going to come to Canada and just memorize 10 expressions? That's not going to, how's that? Yeah. Thank you. Sure, you can do that. And you should learn up, 5 keywords when you go anywhere. So it took me a long time to figure out how to approach this, because even just saying, how are you? It's like, okay, you don't want to learn the fundamentals. You just want to really practice the stuff you're going to need on the resort or whatever. So how are you is a good one. But it depends. Are you talking to someone you've seen every day all week and your friends? Are you talking to someone that you haven't met before? A child? Are you asking more than one person, how are you? And that changes that simple expression, that simple sentence.
And what
so
are
it's
you
not
do?
As simple as that.
And what are you going to do when they come back? Muy bien, ¿y tú? ¿Cómo estás? I just only know how to say that, but I don't know what you're telling me.
Right, and as a beginner,
sí, señor.
Cerveza, por favor.
Well, and try memorizing, as a beginner, just memorize these 20 things. You're going to mix them all up. You're going to, it's not going to work. So I worked out to do it. Instead, you're focusing on on the main verbs that are used to express anything. So it's not just at the restaurant, but it's anywhere that you're going to go when you're traveling. There's 5 or 6 fundamental verbs that you can utilize, and so it's trying to build like a shortcut version of the expanded one. Not let's memorize these 20 things. Yeah, that won't actually work when we get there, because it might not be sunny, it might be snowing, there might be a tornado warning.
You never know.
You don't know, right? So
and also open-ended expressions. There's really not much that a person can answer to what you're asking, and that's what we want to approach. I don't know, if they're in a restaurant, can I have the menu, please? And that the waiter is going to come, el menú, por favor, and he's going to come bring the menu. And if the waiter is going to say todo bien, and then that you're going to answer if it's everything okay, sí, muy bien, gracias. Or if you want to, like you say, the food is cold, then we would teach that, or it's too hot, or I want salt, that kind of stuff. That you can actually learn that and practice that for the short amount of time that you would be in a Spanish-speaking country.
Growing up in my neighborhood, I was pretty much the only English-speaking person. Everybody around me was Italian. And I learned to understand it, but I couldn't really speak it.
So the reason that you would understand and not speak is because you were surrounded by it. The problem is in Canada, most people that are coming to me are not surrounded by Spanish. Yeah. So we don't normally get someone that says, oh, I understand it. French, sure, we're in Canada. Yeah. Spanish, never. Not one person. Sorry, anyone that this might be a lie for. But I can't think of one person that came to me like, oh, I understand, and actually understand Spanish. Yeah. But I can't say a word of it.
It's totally that was me when I was little. But that's because I was surrounded by it since I was born. And I was 8 years old, and I still could not speak a word of it. But I understood absolutely everything.
So when we're learning it, I always separate the learning into, I really see it as two elements, because just like you said, you master the listening, but not the speaking. It's like you're learning two separate languages. And that's why I'm always encouraging the students, listen, you can love your textbook work and you can do the class with me, but you have to go to conversation class. You have to listen to these podcasts. You have to watch movies, these things that are fluent Spanish, not baby Spanish, not ABC song, full fluent Spanish, constantly surround yourself with it, because unfortunately we're not surrounded by it. So we have to rely on technology, or you got to travel,
you got to immerse yourself in it somehow. And if you don't have the means or the resources to travel, or simply you don't want to, you always there's plenty of podcasts. There are plenty of movies, Netflix. You can slow it down so you can understand it. Cause that's another challenge, right? Yeah. When people speak so fast, a native person will speak so fast. And that was my challenge when I started teaching. I had to really slow it down. I realized, most of the words sound like they're together. So they have to, let me just pause, pronounce. But as Kerri said, you have to practice. You can be a grammar wizard. And that's fantastic if that's the only thing you want. But if you want to carry on a conversation just by talking and listening.
Yeah. It's the famous student question. I'll say something like, just so you know, the word, I don't know, for brook or something. Well, I'm never going to use the word brook. And it's always they come back from the trip like, Kerri.
I needed that word.
I fell in the brook. And, it's like that famous thing. Well, I don't need to know how to say that. Well, what if someone else says it? Yes. Right. Well,
then I'll get it.
Yeah. Yes. So that's why conversation classes comes in a big way, because we have a private once a week normally for an hour. I mean, you can adjust that. And then conversation class, where every week we have a native speaker. Might be the same one for a couple of weeks. Usually they switch out, sometimes male, sometimes female, different countries. So if you want to focus on Colombia, come to the teacher that's Colombian, etc. And that's when you can really get rid of the, heebie-jeebies and really try getting your language out and listening.
And I do accents too. So okay.
Yes. And
if you want to learn Argentinian Spanish, I got you.
So there we go. You've already said Colombia and Argentina. How many different forms of Spanish are there?
Well, it's funny because Kerri says, they are all sounding like you, because I grew up in Venezuela, right? So it's like, the word llamar, which is to call, me llamo, my name is llamo. So my students go like, is it llamo or is it llamo? It's whatever you want. Whichever way is great. You pick the one that you like the most, and that you stick with that. So we have Spanish from Spain, Argentina, Mexico, Colombia. I would say those are the ones that have the strongest accents that at least I can understand, dominate, and teach. There are many others. You have Panama, Honduras, Paraguay, Uruguay is very...
Chile,
yeah.
Now, can they all understand each other?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's just different
pronunciation mainly,
but like rhythm of talking,
and also certain words. So the one that stands out the most different is Argentina. And other than that, between Colombia, Mexico, Venezuela, we would have different words for certain things. But that's when you fall into the slang.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but everybody speaks Spanish is universal. It doesn't matter where you are, and we try to focus on teaching a word that is universal. For example, popcorn. There's many ways of saying popcorn. In Venezuela, we say cotufas, and I know. So nobody's like, what is that? But usually, universally, palomitas de maíz, which is pops of corn. So we try and teach that, the universal one, that everybody, they're going to understand you wherever you go, they're going to know. And with the students, we also try to really hone down is that do not be afraid of messing up in Spanish with Hispanics wherever you are, because we are so happy that
You're
you want
trying.
to learn, that we will hug you and kiss you if we can, and thank you for trying to learn. And we want to help you. We will not shame you. I do not know a Hispanic that would shame you for speaking, trying to speak Spanish. And if they do,
Yeah, you hit a raw negative person. Yeah. And that's like, you get a lot of that feedback from French, and I'm going to say it because it just continues to be true. I'm talking, you know, out of Quebec and out of France. I can only really say about those two areas. You know, I'm learning French. I speak a lot of people from France, a lot of people from Quebec. And it's everyone knows this here. It's like, it's hard to approach French speakers. It's a harsher reaction.
Yeah.
They're very protective of their language, which is great, but not great for learners. I think it's great, but not great for learners. So I think Spanish is a whole other beast. Yeah, everyone loves when you're learning it.
I know, I really want to. It sounds like so much fun. Now, how would you guys encourage your students to continue on with their Spanish language after their tutoring session ends?
That's a great question. No one's ever asked me that. That's a really good question. Well, one of the things we do is conversation class. You're meeting native speakers in Windsor. I can speak for Windsor. If you're coming in person in your community, we do events every, COVID mixed it up and Christmas gets crazy. But otherwise, normally every 6 to 8 weeks, we do, we've done tons of things. Oricia's led quite a few, a cooking class. I'll let you talk about that.
That was fun.
We've done.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and all Latin American food. So, and very easy to make with products that you can find in any supermarket, not even special supermarkets. You can get at Walmart, you can get at Freshco. Very easy, accessible, and it was a lot of fun. We had a big turnout.
That was a great one.
I saw your invitation to
we want to go to Mexico Town in March.
We're going to do that.
Yeah, so we've done, boxing classes, nature walks, cooking stuff.
We did a CrossFit class too in Spanish.
CrossFit class, and there's always a different teacher leading it. So you're meeting people locally, because it's great when you're going on vacation once a month out of the year. But then what?
These are just like add-on classes or events that they can come to, and
it's part of the membership.
It's part of the membership.
This is it's more like a club. So you have like a monthly. It's sort of like a club access.
Oh, okay. So it's a membership fee that people would pay.
It's not a membership. We bill monthly. It's what you're doing is you're paying for the month. So we can call it that.
Yeah, but you get a lot out of it then.
Yes, you get a lot out of it.
You get 4 lessons and that's it. If you guys are doing cooking classes or going to Mexican Town.
And you have access to us all the time.
Yes.
There is a big
That is
group
a membership.
chat.
That's wonderful. It's way, way better than just your once a week classes and that's it, because people are going to take advantage to have more. I think I would if I
to get more out of it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Try to tell them that. I don't want to bug you. I don't want to bug
That's
you.
what we're telling them that now.
We're telling them that now.
Yes. Please bug
And
me.
it's interesting that you said, well, how do they carry on after their studies are done and they have reached the levels that they wanted to reach? Interesting enough, they remain friends.
Yeah,
because we're
that's
fun.
True. You're so. See why they like her more?
And they love us.
You're right. We're friends with everyone.
So
they don't leave.
We're always in touch.
Yeah.
And you know what the funny part is? We're in touch in Spanish.
Oh,
Because they send me things in Spanish, memes or little videos or
that's so cute.
And everything is in Spanish. And they are encouraged. They do it themselves. We don't tell them you have to talk to me in Spanish. No.
Oh, they're proud that I'm still doing this.
Exactly. And speaking of that, don't think that when you sign up, you're just going to show up and we're just going to speak Spanish. It's not going to happen
Eased
like
in.
that. We're going to ease you in. We won't thrust you in it. We will take our time.
Well, and that kind of touches on how, and I don't know if you're going to approach this, but how I'm the owner of a Spanish company and I'm an Irish girl.
Yes.
I'm sure it was in your list.
It was. It really was. But I do know that you love languages.
Yeah.
But I don't remember why Spanish. Why that turned into your business.
I don't have a good answer other than it just being good business opportunity for the area. For why I learned it, for native English speakers, Spanish is, I believe, rated the easiest language to learn, if not one of the easiest for native English speakers, not for anyone. So, it was something doable for me to learn on my own.
Okay.
We share a similar alphabet and all these things that cuts down a lot of the aggravation of you'll find with other languages. I think people find me a bit more approachable coming into
Until they meet her.
Until they meet me.
Yes. Yeah. You know, people freak out and it's like, oh, it's, you know, Kerri Dunwoody. Oh, I'll take Spanish with Kerri. Okay. That's cute. You know, but like, that's nice. So they're not so shy. And you would be shy to meet someone from another country and a different accent and a different everything. So, you know, they're used to me. And, yes,
Actually, when they meet me, that's when the intimidation starts.
Well, yeah.
Because every time I have a new student and they know, okay, you're going to have a class with a native. Oh, I know they're going to cancel.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
And it happens. And it takes maybe 1 or 2 times that they cancel to say, okay, I can't keep canceling. I'm going to have to tough it up and show up. And then they're like, oh, there was nothing to be afraid of.
That's when you get the thick accent going and really.
And that's when I start talking like, no.
You gotta join. Like, you got all that. No, you gotta get the accent. I'm like, yes, she gets it. That's the fun part. Yeah.
Really intimidate the bejesus out of them. And
Remember, you said this.
I am.
Okay.
Okay. Do you guys incorporate any cultural aspects to your lessons? You had said about cooking, but do you go into any of, you know, their various holidays?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We did that. I love holidays because I start comparing what we do here compared to what I grew up with. So my favorite is always New Year's Eve and all the crazy traditions we have in Latin America, which is like, it's too long to like list right now. But there's a lot of different things. And when I explain this to the students, it cracks them up. So it's very fun. And at the same time, they're laughing, but they're learning different words for things that they never thought about before. Or why should I know how to name, I don't know, luggage or money chairs, the grapes, the 12 grapes.
Money chairs? What's a money chair?
Yeah.
Money in the chairs. And yeah, I'm telling you. So it's
This is why I answer emails so quickly.
okay. So New Year's Eve, it's a lucky thing to wear yellow underwear. And if you want to find a partner, a romantic partner, so then you do red underwear. So if you want to travel, you walk around with an empty suitcase. And if you want to be prosperous and have more money, you better have bills in your hand when that 12 o'clock hits. And then we have also the 12 grapes.
Sure, the 12
that
grapes.
everybody knows about the 12
Everyone
grapes.
knows
Well,
about
Sofia
them.
Vergara talked about it in Modern Family.
Oh, yeah.
I
So
didn't.
we have the 12 grapes and the champagne and then if you want to find a romantic partner, besides, like on top of having the red underwear, you can
Eat
step
grapes.
up and down a chair 12 times.
That's just getting a nice booty.
So here we go. I'm carrying a suitcase on my right hand, the money on the left hand.
And going up and down the
going up and
stairs.
down with this underwear that it's uncomfortable. Up and down the chairs.
This is why Latinas get everyone.
And then I have all the 12 grapes in my mouth at the same time.
Where does the drinking come in? Like the tequila?
I don't, it's in there with the grapes. So
Is that a special hat with a little straw going in?
you know that's not a bad idea, Tracy. I will incorporate
make
that.
the step
See,
up
now they're
easier.
going to learn how to say sombrero.
There you go. This could be like a Halloween costume.
That's not a bad idea either. Yeah, so we do Halloween too, and then we talk about that, and we're not very much into it, but it's interesting.
We're not very much into it 10 minutes later talking about hats. But she's not contrived. Like, she loves this stuff, and she has that direct comparison, which is so nice.
It sounds like fun and stuff like that. To me, it encourages people to learn.
Yeah.
You know, if you learn everything and it's not just the textbook and the teacher and you're just sitting there going, okay, buenos dias.
Yeah, and touching on that, I particularly when I teach my classes and they tell me, well, what is leche, for example, that's milk. I'm not going to tell them it's milk. I'm not going to tell them that. I'm going to say, well, do you know a cow? Yeah. What does a cow give? And then we start. Well, meat, they eat grass, they do this, they do that, until they finally get to, it gives you milk. Leche. And I I get there. If we're on Zoom in person, I don't care. If I have to mimic things for them to understand it, I want them to get there by, like, on their own and not translate. We don't do that.
Well, that's good. It forces them to think, and they're
Yes.
going to remember it.
The connection would be more lasting that way.
Okay, can you guys suggest anything extra, like podcasts or books or any?
We're the only thing that matters.
Okay, that's and how can they get a hold of you?
It's just us. No, there's other resources. And getting hold of us, we're a fan of phone calls. Everything's on Google, Spectrum Spanish Tutoring, numbers right there, emails there on the website. You can message us through the website. But you know what? You're going to want to ask, are you teach Spain or Latin American Spanish? You're going to ask about the schedule. You're going to ask about everything. So calling is always a lot easier.
Yes. So do you guys have anything sample-wise for people to look at, or anything that they could go online?
People tend to rely so heavily on us, which we can give it back, but you're learning the language. We already speak Spanish. So you're learning it. We're a great resource, and I'm going to give you all the resources. I mean, everyone knows YouTube is amazing. There's great channels on YouTube.
And you guys will be on there soon, hopefully.
We'll see.
And it doesn't matter how disciplined you are. If you think that you can self-teach yourself, by all means, go ahead. But it's going to be a different experience. Like, I'm dying to learn French. I wish there was a Spectrum French for us to have here in Windsor, because I'm doing it on my own, and it's very hard. It's not the same. No. And we are going to, the way we do it is like, you are immersed in this culture. We are going to joke with you. We are going to correct you. We are going to help you get there, whatever your goal is. And
go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I always tell them, if you understand the joke in Spanish and you can say the joke in Spanish, you're on your way to fluency.
There.
Yeah. And even if you're a self-propelled person, I mean, I taught myself Spanish, so it's an example. I did take it at the university for a couple of years, but I didn't learn lick, nothing. Couldn't say three, couldn't string. I wasn't asked to speak once. It's, it's a class of 30 people.
How did you do with your conversation?
Well, I came out of doing nothing. So I went to Leamington and I worked with a nonprofit that, worked with the migrant workers. So I kind of got accustomed to the sounds. But really, I just went home in my room and studied. And I think that's pretty rare for your first language to be self-taught. And it's rare because it's awful. I enjoy learning. It's like a crossword for me. I enjoy languages, but it took me years. And so through the suffering, I found the way to make sure other people are not suffering.
So this is... coming to you guys is perfect. It sounds like it's a lot of fun. You have a ton of resources for them. Maybe we can get some field trips to Cuba, Venezuela.
We've done Mexico. Nice. We went to Mexico. You missed it.
You guys definitely need to contact Spectrum Spanish Tutoring and maybe get into their next field trip, which I want to go, and give them a call. Learn a new language, and it sounds like fun. It sounds like a lot of fun. These girls are great. Thank you so much, Kerri and Oricia. I really do appreciate you being on our podcast. And thank you so much for joining me, Tracy Martins, at YQG in Bloom. You guys have a great day.